How's it going, everybody? NewAge here, bringing you week 2 of our top 10 anything Pokemon. So today, I figured I'd do something a little bit more casual. Decided to go with top 10 types. I did want to try and stay away from things like these, but I figured this would be a good one, just to let you guys know a little bit more about me, know a little bit more about how I look at Pokemon and all that kind of good stuff. So after this week, I am going to try and bring less common things, but for now, we're just going to go ahead and jump right into it. So for number 10, and this is going to be more of a kind of like a pros and cons kind of deal, I guess. Going to talk a little bit why I like these types competitively. Those will be kind of my reasoning, I guess. So if you feel differently, go ahead, leave your own top 10 in the comments and all that good stuff. Or why you think I'm wrong. I'm cool with that too. So anyways, number 10, gonna go ahead and jump right in, is gonna be Ice-type Pokemon. Ice-type Pokemon. Now, the good thing about Ice-type Pokemon, why they're my number 10, they have some really good combinations that I think are really cool. That's one of the things I love most about them. And then they have some pretty nice abilities, And the only thing I don't really like about them is they're pretty bad defensively. Weak to a whole lot of stuff like rock, fire, and fighting, and steel, and they don't have any kind of resistances, so they're just getting blown out of the water by so many things. Some of the combinations I do like, for example, like hail and blizzard, making it so blizzard can't miss in the hail, or snow cloak where you boost your evasion in the hail, an ice body where you heal in the hail. Those are all great abilities, and then you even have the snow warning to get the hail off for you. And then can't forget about the new ability Refrigerate, turning the normal moves into ice-type moves. I think that's a really cool ability that they introduced. Gives you so many weird options now. I hope more Pokemon in the future get Refrigerate. So that's gonna be my number 10. Moving on to number 9, we've got Fire-type Pokemon. Now, as far as design and all that kind of stuff goes, I think Fire-type Pokemon are really cool. If those were to be on a list of, say, cool, stylish Pokemon, they'd probably be somewhere near number 1. But as far as maybe I'd say competitive aspect, gonna go ahead and put them at number 9. One of the things I do like about them is that they can cripple physical attackers, which is really great. Get the Will-O-Wisp or any other kind of attack that burns, and there you go. Physical attackers are a no-go. And they also have some pretty decent abilities. To go with that. You got the Drought, the Flame Body to inflict the burn even more, Solar Power to get stronger, and Flash Flare to also make fire moves stronger if they get hit by fire moves. So it makes them immune to fire Pokemon. And to make things even scarier, all these fire Pokemon have a lot of power. You got Darmanitan, Flareon, and Blaziken with the plus 120 attack, and then for the special attackers, you've got the Magmortar, the Chandelure, and the Volcarona, all these really nice and beefy. The only problem is, for them, Earthquake, for example, their biggest weakness, if they somehow manage to survive that and they have Flame Body, it's not going to matter because Earthquake doesn't make contact, so one of their main weaknesses does not even get affected by Flame Body. And then also, Drought, one of their best abilities that fire Pokemon has that sets up the sun when they come into battle, only one Pokemon has that, other than Charizard Y. So maybe put Drought on more Pokemon, more fire Pokemon, make it a little bit better. So other than that, we're going to go ahead and move on to number 8. So for number 8, we've got Water-type Pokemon from a number 8. Reason I love Water-type Pokemon, there's a lot of different competitive kinds. There's the physical, the special, and the sport. Also, they have so many subtypes. Water types are one of the few Pokemon that has a subtype in every single type. With the introduction of Volcanion, we now have Fire Water, so that clears off everything on the checklist. We have a Water type with every single subtype. And then, like I said, different kinds of water types. We got the physical, like Gyarados, Azumarill, Crawdaunt. We got the special attackers, like Keldeo, Greninja, Milotic. And then we got the support, like Politoed, Slowbro, Slowking, Tentacruel. All those Pokemon really nice competitively. The only thing I would say I don't really like about them is they do have somewhat stale abilities, I gotta say. As far as others outside of like Regenerator or Chronout with the adaptability, a lot of water Pokemon seem to have Water Absorb or Swift Swim or Brain Dish or Torrent, and I feel like they could use a lot more variety. I feel like that'd make them a lot more fun to use, other than just using the same Pokemon with Water Absorb or Torrent or Swift Swim over and over again. Swift Swim isn't even a thing anymore. So that's why they're gonna go ahead and be my number 8. Just don't have as much variety in abilities. Plenty of variety in types though. So moving on to number 7, we've got Flying type Pokemon. One of the reasons I love Flying type Pokemon is you're not gonna see just a flat out Flying type Pokemon. Flying types are nothing but dual types, which is really cool. And because they're all nothing but dual types, it seems like Flying is more of a secondary kind of type. Meaning, as far as their abilities, they aren't just a bunch of flying abilities. They're more abilities based off of what their secondary type is, which is really cool. And then on top of that, they're all kinds of fast. So, like I said, having the different kinds of abilities, you've got flying Pokemon with abilities all around. You've got flying Pokemon with Moxie, Magic Bounce, Guts, Prankster, some flying types with Volt Absorb, Mold Breaker, Serene Grace, and then the new introduction of Gale Wings that made flying Pokemon all the more better. Even though Talonflame's the only one that has it, I'm pretty sure. But possibly look forward to more flying Pokemon getting that, or Mega Evolutions of flying Pokemon. That'd be great. And then the only thing that I don't really like about flying types is they are weak to a lot. First off, you got the Stealth Rocks, and then all kinds of other things like electric moves, rock being really common, ice, all that good stuff. So that's why they're going to go ahead and be my number 7. Moving on to number 6, we've got Ghost type Pokemon. Now I love Ghost type Pokemon because they're very technical, and I think that's cool with a whole bunch of different kinds of status moves. And then they've got some decent offensive Ghost types, and then some pretty decent bulky Ghost types. So for the support moves, we got all kinds of things like Will-O-Wisp and Destiny Bond and Disable. Then you've got the Confuse Ray, and then the oh-so-scary Grudge. Not really a competitive thing that I've seen often, but I'd love to. That'd be crazy if someone made a Pokemon with Grudge on it, just taking away all the attacks. And then on the offensive side, we've got the specials like Gengar and Chandelure, and then we've got some physicals like Aegislash and Bayonet. And then we've even got the bulky ones like the Eviolite Dusclops, and then Sableye, and then Cafigurgus and Jellicent on the physical and special side being insanely bulky. Unfortunately, the only thing I don't like about them is they are pretty easily overpowered by Dark-type Pokemon. A lot of Dark-type Pokemon are really strong physically, so granted Ghost Pokemon do stand a chance with all the varieties of moves and support they get. I feel like when it comes to Dark-type Pokemon, they could eventually easily get overpowered. So that's why they're going to be my number 6. Moving on to number 5, we've got Poison-type Pokemon. And Poison-type Pokemon, they're great at wearing down your opponent. They have some pretty decent abilities and some nice status moves on top of that. So we got the wearing them down with moves like Toxic, or just Poison in general works just as good. Then you've got Toxic Spikes, which can entry hazard that cause poison. That's great too. And then Venoshock to do even more damage if you're poisoned. And then if you want to be that guy, go ahead and run Protect while you're going the Toxic. And that just makes it even better at wearing them down. And then for some decent abilities, a lot of them, not a lot, but we have Poison Pokemon with Speed Boost, Regenerator, Effect Spore, Levitate so they can't get hit by the ground weakness, and then Poison Touch, which on contact can poison, so another way to poison your opponents. And then, like I said, good status moves. You've got more of them, like a lot of Poison Pokemon learn Spore and Leech Seed and Will-O-Wisp, so great status moves to wear down your opponent. The only thing I don't like about Poison types is a lot of them have dual types as well, and I just feel like the dual types do not help them at all. They give them more weaknesses than they need. There's a lot of poison bugs and waters and grasses, and that just makes them weak to a lot more things, like bug, water, and grass both have a pretty nice amount of weaknesses, so that's the reason why they're my number 5. We're going to go ahead and move on to number 4. We've got Electric Pokemon. So Electric Pokemon, I like them because they have a lot of different kinds of stab moves, not just the Thunderbolt, but more technical, more competitive stab moves. And they've of course only got one weakness, only ground, and then on top of that, they have some pretty nice speed. So we've got the good stab moves like Volt Switch that helps you switch after doing damage. You got the Charge Beam that does damage and then can also raise your special attack. Then you've got the Shockwave that can't miss, the Nuzzle that guarantees paralysis while doing damage, and then the Electro Ball that does damage based on how much faster you are, which, like I said, electric types with decent speed, that's pretty good. And then on top of that, you've got just the pure power of Thunderbolt and Thunder Punch that have the chance to paralyze. And then, like I said, for speed, a lot of the electric type Pokemon, the lowest I think you'll see on most Pokemon that are electric is around 90 speed. Other than that, most of them are a lot faster, which that's great. The only problem I have with them is I don't think their abilities help so much. I mean, a lot of them have Volt Absorb and Lightning Rod, which is good to take on other electric types. And then the only somewhat decent one they have is Static, which it's really not even that great of an ability because their one weakness, Earthquake, Static doesn't even affect Earthquake because it doesn't make contact, so it doesn't even help you survive there, so that's why they're going to be my number 4. Moving on to number 3, we've got Bug-type Pokemon. Now, Bug-type Pokemon, I really like these because there are a lot of really offensive Pokemon, like the Scyther and the Pinsir and the Scissor and the Heracross. And then you've got some great status moves on these Pokemon like Quiver Dance, the best status move in the game that increases special attack, special defense, and speed, all by one. So you're getting some sweeps going with Pokemon like Volcarona. And then you've got the Sleep Powder with the Compound Eyes, and then the Sticky Web, the entry hazard that lowers speed, and then a lot of bug Pokemon can also learn Roost, so just even got the healing aspect on there. And then some varying abilities. You have a lot of bug Pokemon with all these interesting abilities like Compound Eyes and Moxie and Technician and Speed Boost, and then some Sturdy and some Prankster bug type Pokemon as well. So you have a lot of useful things on bug type Pokemon. The only thing is their weaknesses kind of overpower them. You've got the weakness of Fire and Flying, which are normally pretty fast, can outspeed the bug type Pokemon and hit them before you get a chance to. Or there's the bulkier Pokemon like Rock, which can take a hit from you guys, or from the bug type Pokemon, and then hit back even harder. So that's why I don't feel bugs are the absolute best, but they're going to be my number 3. So moving on to number 2, we've got Dark type Pokemon. And Dark type Pokemon, they have really powerful attackers and defenders. You've got Tyranitar and Sharpedo and Bisharp and Crocodile and Honchkrow and Absol, all really hard-hitting Pokemon. And then you've got the great defenders like Umbreon and Scrafty and Mandibuzz. And then dual types help them out a lot. You've got Dark Flying, so they're not weak to fighting. Dark Fighting, so they're also not weak to fighting, and then not even affected by Bug or Psychic. And then, best of all, the Dark Ghost has no weaknesses other than the Fairy type. And then you've got some pretty decent abilities too, like Moxie to make him even stronger, or Speed Boost with Sharpedo, and then things like Super Luck with the Honchkrow. So those are all really good, and then you've got Intimidate off to help you too. And then, like I said, the only bad thing about them is they are weak to fairies, so that shuts them down. If fairies weren't along, Dark would totally be number 1. But since they are along, I guess. Sure, let's go with that. We're going to go ahead and move on to number 1, and those are going to be normal type Pokemon for me. Now, normal type Pokemon, of course, they only have one weakness, so that's great, the fighting type. And then they have all kinds of different normal Pokemon. You have the supporters like Chansey, Blissey, and Miltank with the Heal Bell or Aromatherapy and all that good stuff. Then you've got the highly offensive like Kangaskhan, Slaking, and Buffalant. And then you've got some good defensive normal Pokemon like Porygon 2 with the Eviolite. No one likes that. The Snorlax that can get pretty bulky, and then the Furfrou with the Fur Coat, one of the best abilities I've ever seen. I love Furfrou, using him against fighting Pokemon. And then they all learn such a wide range of attacks. You have pretty much every Pokemon being able to learn all the elemental moves, whether it be the physical or the special kind, and then all kinds of other moves like Sucker Punch or Seismic Toss. And then they have all their good stab moves like Fake Out, Return, and Body Slam. And then with all these different kinds of normal Pokemon, you have all kinds of different abilities too, like Guts and Technician and Defiant Scrafty, you have some with Sap Sipper, or Porygon with a download, and then Thick Fat, so they even have resistances on top of having no weaknesses except for fighting. You've got Imposter on the Ditto, Intimidate to help you wear down those fighting types, and then Sheer Force and Moxie, and then like I said, the Fur Coat, just a great defensive ability. And of course, the only bad thing about them is they are weak to one of the strongest hitting types in the game, the fighting type Pokemon. But, you know what, if you've got Pokemon like Furfur around, or some good Intimidators, or some ways around it with the vast move pool that the normal types get, fighting Pokemon should not even be a problem. So that's why normal type is going to be my number 1, and that's going to go ahead and wrap up the top 10 for this week. So if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and leave a like down below. You can also comment, let me know how you feel about my top 10. Leave your own top 10s or any opinions you might have. I'd really appreciate that. You can also subscribe to my channel NewAgeSteel if you want to see more of these videos. You can also follow me on Instagram and Twitter for first-hand information on when I upload videos. So until then, I'm NewAgeSteel. I'll see you guys next time. Keep on watching.